Today we're basking in the 90s memories of heading to the video store with your family, your friends, a date, or yourself to rent a couple of those blue and yellow boxes together. Something that used to be a requirement for a few hours of laughing, crying, or hiding behind the couch pillows in fear on Friday night. We'll also be covering the birth of video rentals and the rise and fall of Blockbuster Video specifically. Sure, the company itself did some terrible things, and we'll cover those too, but our nostalgia isn't meant for the ghost of a corporate entity. It just so happens that their blue and yellow logo is simply the face of a bygone era of pure, unbridled, inconvenient joy. So with that being said, this is the story of the rise and fall of Blockbuster. But more importantly, it's a conduit to relive the awesome feeling of renting some videotapes in the 90s. Blockbuster didn't invent the idea of renting movies. That goes back at least as far as 1975 when Eckhard Baum in Kassel, Germany collected Super 8 films and began to rent them out. 2 years later, over in the United States, entrepreneur George Atkinson created the Video Station in Los Angeles with an inventory of around 50 VHS and Betamax tapes. He would charge $50 for annual memberships or $100 for a lifetime membership that would allow customers to rent a VHS tape for $10 a day. If that seems steep, you have to remember that home video was but a luxury at the time, with a Star Wars VHS tape running you almost $80 with your own VCR costing anywhere from $1,000 to $1,400, which adjusted for inflation would be around $5,000 today. Of course, he was threatened with lawsuits from a Hollywood that wished they thought of his idea first, but realized that US copyright law allowed him the right to rent property that he purchased fair and square. And so it began. Meanwhile, businessman David Cook was looking to get out of the software industry and into the home video rental market thanks to the smart advice of his wife, Sandy Cook. He started by hitching his wagon to the video store franchise VideoWorks in Dallas, Texas, but quickly jumped ship when they wouldn't allow him to use his now iconic blue and yellow color design in his store that he had hoped to implement. And so, by 1985, Cook sold his software business and used the capital to open the very first Blockbuster Video. Through Cook's research of the home video industry at the time, he made several observations. Most companies were keeping their videos off the shelves for fear of theft of the expensive tapes. This in turn led to the employees spending copious amounts of time retrieving them for the customers. So he used his software skills to develop a system for inventory control and checkout. This is where those nostalgic little laser scannable strips on the corners of those Blockbuster videotapes comes from, as well as those sexy little plastic membership cards that we would constantly lose and have to ask the dude behind the counter to make again for us, all the while knowing that he knows that you still owe $27 in late fees for renting Ace Ventura for the 5th time and forgetting to return it. Lamination be damned, the process still saved a ton of time at the desk and made for a more organized digital approach. To combat theft, they employed a magnetic anti-theft device to the tapes with a sensor at the doors. Cook also realized that he needed to differentiate his inventory from the competition. When the first Blockbuster opened in Dallas, Texas, the store featured over 8,000 tapes covering 6,500 different films. This would be the key to Blockbuster's success, as for a while, the bulk of their business actually came from film fans renting older, lesser-known films. By 1987, Cook had 19 Blockbuster stores and teamed up with a few other titans of industry in the waste management business. I know it sounds like a Sopranos gag, but it was actually the largest garbage disposal business in the world at the time. This included Waste Management co-founder Wayne Huizenga, and as they expanded further, Huizenga and partners became an evil Pac-Man of sorts in the industry, buying up many of Blockbuster's rival businesses. Cook, who had been more interested in simply franchising and selling a streamlined process to other entrepreneurs, left the company just 2 months later. No matter how hard they tried, probably not at all, the new owners of Blockbuster just couldn't contain their insatiable bloodlust for murders and executions. Sorry, mergers and acquisitions.
Murders and executions mostly.
Do you like it?
Well, it depends.
Just 2 years later, Blockbuster ran over 700 stores nationwide and were more than thriving, they were dominating, Conan style. I don't mean that in a positive way for the business, it's just an excuse to play this clip.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
By 1993, the company controlled 25% of the global video market, making it the undisputed king of home entertainment. The pinnacle of this era occurred in 1994 when Viacom acquired Blockbuster for $8.4 billion. For several years, the company felt invincible, fueled by a brilliant revenue-sharing model with movie studios that allowed them to stock hundreds of copies of new releases. At its height in 2004, the chain reached over 9,000 stores nationwide. But what goes up must come down. And this is the part of the video where we stop talking about the suits for a moment and start talking about what it was like to be alive in the heyday of movie rentals and Blockbuster. It was a major pillar in the what do you want to do tonight of human existence. As kids, we begged our parents to take us to the rental store to rent a movie or 5. After all, the older videos were cheaper and you could often rent them for longer. Hell, I remember spending summer days rounding up change from everywhere in the house and catching a ride to see just how many movies I could rent in a single trip based on change. My record was 8, by the way, and it included GoldenEye, Billy Madison, and Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Sure, it's more convenient to plop down on the sofa, pick up the remote, and have a world of movies at your fingertips pantsless, but it doesn't carry the same sense of community, reward, or experience as walking the aisles laughing about dumb movie titles and boxes, or arguing about what to rent that evening. I once had a girl almost break up with me mid-video rental experience because she argued that we were just too different. She wanted to rent George Clooney's Syria. Meanwhile, I held on to Beavis and Butthead Do America with a Kung Fu death grip. Sure, the hassle of returning the tapes was annoying, and often the late fees were downright infuriating, but the sights and smells and experiences were worth it. Whether that smell be the dirty carpet in one of those rental stores with a porno room in the back, or the fresh plastic smell of Blockbuster retail commerce in the morning, didn't matter. It was the place that you went to start your evening, weekend, or summer day. As a kid, I remember sitting in the car and opening the VHS tapes before we even got home to check out their nuances. Shout out to Johnny Mnemonic's orange VHS tape, by the way, that one blew my mind. Yeah, in the end, it was more expensive than clicking rent on Amazon Prime when it was all said and done. It was also a cheap way to turn watching a movie into an entire event. For $10 or so, you could leave the house with your friends and have an experience before retiring home to pop that sucker in a VCR and see if you made the right decision. It was more of a gamble than you know, and you'd often end up watching something that sucked out of pure spite. Because by God, you put effort into getting that tape and you're gonna finish it. Maybe it doesn't sound like it, but I promise you, it was the fucking best. But as we know, it was not meant to last. Over the years, the joy of video rentals turned to video game rentals as well, despite once again the video game industry and specifically Nintendo trying to sue the option away. As time went on, Blockbuster alongside others tried desperately to innovate in ways to keep the home video market alive amidst an ever-changing landscape threatening to stop their massive takeover of the world, if not snuff them out entirely. In 1992, Blockbuster decided to get in on the compact disc craze by purchasing Music Plus and Sound Warehouse chains and rebranding them as Blockbuster Music locations. On the surface, it definitely made sense. There was nothing more infuriating in the 90s than having to spend almost $20 on a CD to find out that the only good song on the entire album was the one you heard on the radio. You had to really fight, scratch, and claw back then to discover and own new music. I can tell you from first-hand experience as a kid that these stores were exciting. They had what they called listening stations where you could go and listen to snippets of bands and CDs that you had never heard before. They'd let you return open CDs after you purchased them, and even briefly, for a while, they let you actually rent CDs as you would home videos. However, they flew too close to the sun with the music companies refusing to play ball, and later the dawn of Napster changing everything. But that's another video altogether, and we'll make it too, so make sure you click that subscribe button. By 1998, Blockbuster sold the music division for $115 million after spending nearly $200 million purchasing it from Music Plus and Sound Warehouse. After the acquisition by Viacom and for a while massive success, Blockbuster became ever douchey and heavily reliant on annoying and hefty late fees that were generating them $800 million in annual profit. At those rates, it's no wonder that even Patrick Bateman was worried about having his tapes returned in time. As fondly as I remember the time period, I have to say it was an awful feeling to have wash over you that your copy of Broken Arrow fell off the back of your Zenith TV 3 weeks ago, and you didn't find out about it until the dude at the front desk refused to let you rent Miss Doubtfire until the $55 was paid. That's when you went down to Hollywood Video and started a brand new line of debt. These led to some crazy stories in the 2000s, where in one instance a copy of Freddy Got Fingered led to a man having an active warrant for his arrest. In another case, a woman spent the night in jail for forgetting to return Jennifer Lopez's mother-in-law, albeit to a different video store. Some customers will drop their videos into the late night return bin only to have the employee miss the scan and find out years later that they had accrued thousands in debt. This all led to Blockbuster declaring the end of late fees in 2005 in a sad attempt to combat streaming, only to be sued by 47 state attorneys generals for deceptive marketing. Because you see, in truth, all Blockbuster was doing was waiting 7 days and then charging the customer the full price of the movie if they had not returned it. Even if you returned the movie afterward, your account was refunded, but not before you were hit with a restocking fee. While Blockbuster was massively buying up everything it could during its heyday, these lawsuits were just one sign of many that they were actually building a house of cards ready to tumble down in spectacular fashion. Like the fun part in solitaire when the cards go all over the screen, but like Not fun. And you know the rest of the story. Netflix, then just a mail-in movie service, offered to sell to Blockbuster for a team-up at the price of a cool $50 million and were laughed out of the boardroom. Blockbuster followed up this poor decision to pivot with the times with a series of bad deals with Viacom and corporate infighting that led to them shedding their own streaming service called Total Access that was actually beating Netflix at the time. Then Redbox and the convenience of renting movies for $1 in front of every Walmart and CVS on every corner for as low as $1. Walmart themselves even started selling DVDs at prices so low they rivaled the cost of renting them for the night. By 2010, Blockbuster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and sold their remains to Dish Network for the $320 million fraction of what once was a business that had been valued at $8.4 billion. Today, Blockbuster is a vision of nostalgia despite their brash corporate tactics. On one hand, the company is a living museum with its last location in Bend, Oregon still surviving. There's even a documentary about its survival called The Last Blockbuster, which you can ironically stream on Tubi for free. The brand itself is a corporate ghost kept in the Dish Network vault that was briefly used as a streaming service called Blockbuster On Demand and is no longer in service. And so, that is the story of the company of Blockbuster. But the memories and fun of video rentals will forever live on in the hearts of 90s kids everywhere.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.